Well, another frustrating Sunday in Cleveland. Final score, Ravens 23, Browns 16, in a game that the Browns led for quite a good chunk of the afternoon, but not quite enough to pull off a victory tonight. Brendan Gulick, Spencer German, and Anthony Moeglin with you, part of our Browns Roundtable coverage. Lots to get to, and guys, obviously this is the game that Browns fans are going to remember for being Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut, which I guess is factually accurate, although it certainly wasn't the planned debut. I think the best way to say is that it looked like it, right? He wasn't great statistically in this game after Dylan Gabriel left going into concussion protocol at halftime. Shador finished 4 for 16 for 47 yards and an interception. And frankly, he was despondent after the game. He sat down on the bench over on the home side and was literally by himself for what felt like an eternity. I mean, nobody, and I mean nobody, came up to him until his former college teammate walked across the field and sat down, on the bench next to him. After Wester was, obviously on the south side of the field and walked all the way across to try to console him a little bit. We'll talk a lot about Shedeur. We'll talk a lot about this team here this afternoon, or I guess this evening now. Just a real frustrating day for so many reasons, because the defense played fine with the exception of 3 big plays, and the offense was once again just not even close to being good enough.
Yeah, I think that's well said, Brendan. It's kind of, Megs and I joke about this all the time on these post games, but it's funny how you find yourself week over week sort of rattling off the same script almost when it comes to these Browns games. It's, oh man, defense, what another spectacular play. Myles Garrett, 4 sacks. He's had 10 sacks in the last 3 games alone. Just ridiculous. I mean, he's so good. Carson Schlesinger, how about this guy? He's incredible. Defense multiple times stops the Ravens and holds them to field goals in key spots in games and keeps the offense in it. And then the offense just still can't do anything. So I don't know, it's again, it's frustrating. I can tell you this, in the locker room afterwards, because I know you were in the press conference room, Brendan. I did stop in there and talk to a few guys, and I don't know that players are going to actively quit on Kevin, but this was one of the first weeks. Myles, I think, has been here for a while, weeks on end now, where he's just frustrated. He knows that it's a lot on the offense, but there's not really much he can do about it. So he kind of tries not to talk about it, but he kind of just puts that subject off. The locker room conversations tonight from guys like Grant Delpit, who he used the phrase the defense is playing its ass off every week. I almost said Reggie Bush, Devin Bush.
He ran like Reggie Bush after he put that.
Going back in time here. Devin Bush talked about Myles is so special and we need to do a better job of getting him wins for his career. Those are the types of conversations you're hearing in the locker room right now. So I do think that the frustrations from how this season has gone and how the same script kind of plays out week over week are mounting in that locker room. What it means in terms of how together they stay and all that, I guess, remains to be seen. I don't necessarily think they'll split apart here and there'll be a lot of infighting. But it was, interesting to hear some of that in the locker room after the game for sure.
It's frustrating too, just from the outside looking, and obviously you guys were there, but man, it just was a death by 1,000 cuts tonight. And it felt so inevitable. It felt so inevitable that this loss was coming. And just every time the Browns got the ball in the second half, you're just any points would be good, even if it's a field goal to get it to a 2-score game, but they just couldn't do it. And finally they start putting the drive together at the end there and it stalls out. But man, just the overall takeaway is just such a bummer, because the feeling when Shador came in obviously wasn't in the stadium, but it felt like Baker in 2018, that Thursday night, here he comes. This could be it could be an amazing win. What a moment this could be. Defense is playing so good. Now Shador gets in there, leads 2 drives. They just needed 2 scores and they would have won the game. Just didn't get it done, man. Just had so much potential to be great, and it just didn't work out.
There's a lot of different ways we can take this conversation, and I don't want to be overly negative, but I can't help but think, after watching what we watched and then listening to what Shedeur said post-game, I can't help but feel like this was a bit of a all-encompassing organizational failure. Shedeur Sanders he like kind of quipped at the podium. He hasn't taken a snap from Ethan Posick. He's never thrown a pass to Jerry Jeudy. He's one play away from being the guy right now. He's not a practice squad quarterback anymore. He is your actual backup. I totally understand that your starter is also a rookie and you're trying to get him as many reps as you can. So I'm not the coach of the team. I don't know what the right balance is, but for Shedeur Sanders to step on the field in a close game against a divisional opponent that is clearly not as good as they have historically been, and to play so poorly, like that's inexcusable, man. You can't do that. And I don't blame the guys in that locker room for probably behind closed doors being irate. Watching Wyatt Teller after that last drive where he thought somebody had jumped off sides, or Wyatt a bit earlier on when whomever it was defensively for Baltimore kicked the football. Kyle
it was Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton when he kicked the football. I mean, Wyatt went ballistic. It's clear that like the emotions are at a boiling point for this team, and everybody's sick of losing, and it's not for a lack of effort. And I don't know what has to change to get from where they are to where they need to be, because on the scoreboard, they're not getting blown out. But it just sort of felt like, I mean, Spencer, we're sitting next to each other watching this game, and the whole fourth quarter, I said to you a couple different times, like, this is going to fall apart. Like the situation with the clock and with the inefficiency and ineffectiveness of the offense, there's no way that this is going to end well. And this is professional football, man. Like you somewhere along the way, you got to figure this thing out. And I appreciated and enjoyed the energy that was injected into the stadium when Shador came in. It was palpable. And then very quickly it felt like, oh, okay, maybe that's why he's not ready to play yet, because that was not good enough.
Yeah, listen, I think there's a reasonable sort of thought process to go about this year, where we can all admit, sitting here, whether you're a massive Shador fan or you don't necessarily like Shador or whatever it might be, we can all sit here and say that was not a great performance by any stretch. When you go 4-16 for 47 yards and an interception, it's not a great day. Now, listen, I thought the last drive, there was something there where you felt like, maybe he's due for some magic and he can pull this thing out and it becomes like a stepping stone for him moving forward. That wasn't the case. They couldn't get it done there. He made a couple, close throws to the end zone that you felt like were signs that he was sort of figuring it out as he went along in the game, which was good.
When he finally had a pocket, because now all of a sudden it's like, oh, the offensive line isn't good. Oh, the receiving core isn't good. Like, doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. We've known that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like my big takeaway overall, was like that the problems on this offense are still pretty prevalent, and you saw that with Shador. I also think like admitting that it's a bad performance, and that I think largely, and I wrote about this over at brownsroundtable.com, if you want to check it out as my sort of post-game column here, right, as pretty close to kickoff, or pretty close to the game going final, I should say. Like the questions at quarterback are still very unanswered. Like if you were hoping that Shador getting out there for the first time and him making his debut in whatever fashion it was going to be, if you were hoping that was going to show you, okay, like now he can take the baton and run with it, and now he's the guy, you didn't get that today. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't pivot to him and give him a shot here. And to your point, Brendan, like that doesn't mean that they shouldn't now invest in, let's give him an actual week to prep and play with the ones and see what he can do. But it just means that, like, as you're sitting here trying to decipher what are the Browns going to do at quarterback both this year and in the future, and is it one of these guys, that is still very much unanswered. You didn't get a lot of signs that either of these guys is the answer through Dylan's now 5.5 games and Shador's first half of a game. And so they have 7 games to kind of figure that out. That was kind of where I was left as this thing went final. Was it wasn't the performance you wanted from Shedeur if you were kind of rooting for him or wanted to see him play. and maybe that extra prep time is the kicker that he needs. But there's still a lot of work to do for him and for this Browns team to figure out what the answer is at that position specifically.
I want to jump in real quick because Brendan, what you said to start, or the last thing you said about this was his first time playing with the ones. I think that and I've been very vocal about being on, I a Kevin Stefanski supporter, if you will. And I think that he runs a good ship, but I don't know how that's possible. I'm not expecting, and he shouldn't get the lion's share of one reps. He should absolutely be getting at least some reps, because not only is he the backup, but hey, everyone, let's open our eyes just a little bit. This offensive line, and this is going to sound bad, but it's is garbage. This is a bad offensive line. And if anybody can see that, hey, if there's a free runner coming at Dillon Gabriel and he cleans his clock, Dillon's not a big guy. Dillon is going to take a hit and get hurt. What's the case if that happens? And clearly Shedeur wasn't ready to go. He was not ready to go in there. Now, you guys weren't listening to the broadcast. You guys were there. They said on the broadcast after Shedeur came in that Kevin was asked about this by the broadcast team, and he had made a comment hey, if Shedeur has to go, he is absolutely ready to go and capable of going. And then we find out that he didn't ever practice with the ones, and you're like, all right, what is it? Because you can't be ready to go and have 0 reps with Jerry Jeudy and 0 reps with David Njoku and 0 reps with Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio. All these guys, that can't happen. And for them to lose this game because this would have been an awesome win. They're not going to the playoffs. They weren't going at the start of the day. They're certainly not going now. But you beat the Ravens today and do it with Shedeur Sanders. That changes a season that feels like crap to a season with a lot of hope and potential. And they lost out on that opportunity because he was not ready to go, which is frustrating.
Well, and I'll say this, Megs, we knew Shedeur wasn't taking those reps because Kevin's been pretty candid about that, for better or for worse. But there is something to be said for, I don't know how the coach can stand there and say he's absolutely ready when he hasn't taken those reps. And listen, I get the easy explanation is like Brendan alluded to. Well, hey, at the beginning of the season, Joe Flacco, he doesn't need all the reps with the ones because he's a veteran in this league. So we gave some to Dillon Gabriel at the time, but to then go to Dillon and be like, all right, he gets all the reps and Shedeur just gets none. I mean, I think you're right in this. If that's the guy you're banking on being your backup quarterback, it is contradictory to me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. When coaches sit there and say, hey, all our guys got to be ready because they're all one play away from getting into the game. But then when that one play, when that next man up at the quarterback position is eventually asked to enter the game and he hasn't taken any reps with the ones, yeah, he can be as ready as he can be with the reps that he's gotten and playing with the twos and the backups and all these things. But is he really supremely prepared for that moment?
Spencer, even more, they came out and threw it right away. His first 3 plays were thrown. And I'm and they were downfield throws. What? What are we doing?
Kevin Stefanski was asked post game, was the whole playbook available to Shedeur? And he said, yeah, they weren't limiting the scope of what he was capable of doing. They basically said, yeah, listen, you're playing, go. But I totally agree with you. You can't, both of those things can't exist. You can't have a guy who is, yep, he's available, he's ready, he's good. We trust our guys, he's expected to go. And then also he's never practiced with the ones. What is that? That doesn't make sense. And listen, the numbers are terrible. The Browns were 2 for 14 on third down. They had 187 yards of total offense, 3.5 yards per play. They had 81 net passing yards today. I mean,
yeah. Well,
you lost a game where you were +2 in the turnover margin. You had a defensive score. I mean, just not good enough, man.
Well, to expound on that further, with Shedeur out there, the offense had 57 net yards in the second half. I think it was. They only gained 4 first downs in total. They didn't score any points, so you're going to lose a lot of football games that way. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I don't know that today needs to be. We know for sure Shedeur isn't any good, or we know for sure he's the guy. It doesn't have to be those extremes. We can exist in this. What I'm trying to get at, I think, is we need to exist in this middle ground after this, because I understand why Shedeur is as polarizing as he is. I've liked Shedeur from the beginning and thought he has a chance to be a really good player in this league and maybe could be the guy for the Browns dating back to the draft process. So I feel optimistic that there's room for him to grow. If they're giving Dylan Gabriel 5+ games, and the thing they keep saying is, well, hey, he's a rookie, he needs time, there's going to be ups and downs, all those things, then the same thing certainly applies to Shedeur Sanders. But I just like tonight was not the debut you wanted to see for him. It was also not necessarily like the perfect situation because he wasn't prepared to play. And I think both those things can sort of be true here on a night where the offense was obviously the same inept group that it's been pretty much the entire season.
So here's the thing about Shedeur that, I think Cleveland fans genuinely and generally look at him with hope. You're looking through the rose-colored glasses a little bit, right? You want to see him as the savior of your quarterback dilemma for so long. Shedeur's a likable kid in the sense that he almost always has a big smile on his face. He steps up to the podium and he's polite. I really don't want this to come across the wrong way. There is a part of me that wonders if, while he would never admit this, that wonders if he feels a little bit of imposter syndrome because he is so willing to express his gratitude for the moment. I'm so grateful to be here. This was so cool to see all the 12 jerseys and to throw to Jerry and to be in this environment and all this stuff. He was so able to express his thankfulness for being in that moment on a day where he played pretty bad. He didn't play well. Mm-hmm. That it just makes me wonder, way deep down inside, I know what he says, but is he actually as confident as he portrays? And I'm not saying he isn't talented. He's got some talent. He wouldn't have been drafted if he wasn't talented. But there are clearly some things about him that are not quite NFL ready, not quite NFL franchise quarterback ready. And there's just, on a day like today where he got thrown into the fire, I felt like you saw a little bit of that. Whoa, there's a reason this kid, I know everybody hyped him up as he should have been an early day one pick. There's a reason he wasn't. Mm-hmm. I hope I'm wrong long term, but I can't help but feel some of that.
Brennan, it's a fascinating thought. And the way I was thinking similar things, because what I view in him right now is just a lack of confidence on the field. He's a confident kid, off the field. Everything he does is confident. He's got, like you said, the biggest smile. He lights up every room. He's fun. He seems like he could be everything for this team and for the city. But is he starting to believe, hey, I am the 5th round pick who didn't get the opportunity to start? Is that more me, or is more me? You rewind this thing 12 months and he's at Colorado and he's the man, right? He is the man. Nobody could tell him anything because he's playing great football and they're winning football games, and he's got Colorado jumping, right? And they're high on the hog, and he's got an opportunity to go be a top, 1st round pick. And then the reality hits him that, I'm a 5th round pick. Then he gets out there tonight and Kyle Hamilton strips him on throws an interception on his 3rd pass or whatever, and then should have thrown another interception to Kyle Hamilton. And then he gets the ball ripped out on Kyle Hamilton's sack. And it's these guys are legit players. And I got to kind of step my game up a little bit. And I hope that doesn't just bury his confidence, because you can't have that. You've already had that with Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel doesn't believe that he can wake up and throw a football anymore. You can't have that happen to Shedeur Sanders on the football field, because, he is a guy that can really thrive off of that feeling. And we've seen it in the past before. And it just concerns me that maybe a little part of that's gone away from him.
Yeah. And listen, I give him a lot of credit for what I thought was humility in that press conference. And it wasn't a false humility. I thought he generally recognized this wasn't good. He acknowledged I didn't play well. It sounds like he got in front of the team afterward and tried to basically shoulder the loss. And Myles sort of stepped in and said, no, that's not what this is. But I don't know, man. I mean, the Ravens this year are okay. They are certainly not the Ravens that we are used to seeing. And their defense has been better than their offense, but they're not an elite team this year. And I thought Shedeur really struggled with the pressure they put on him, a couple of the coverages that they put in. He would never make it about the lights were too bright. Again, he's a confident kid. He was humble tonight. He took it on the chin. I just hope this was a bad day and that it gets better, and that with the right reps with the ones, that this becomes, a better result for him. Because there was just this part of me walking out of that press conference was like, whoa, I haven't seen a kid up at the podium that gave me the impression that this was a little too big for him in a long time, the way I walked out of that press conference feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you were in the room listening to it live. I caught bits and pieces afterwards, but I certainly can understand why you feel that way. And it is weird because you do hear Shador talk. So when you do hear Shador talk, he is so confident. He doesn't really give off that aura that he's, lacking confidence, or that anything is kind of bothering him, or that he can't, meet the moment in certain situations. So it's an interesting perspective for him to sort of bring to the table in that way. But he's also been a very humble, just kid in general, in terms of the way that he's done things and the way he's approached things. I thought his answer in talking about, like, when Dylan's out there, not wanting to be a distraction.
We've got that cut.
Yeah.
Let's play that here. Go ahead, Megs.
Yeah, I'm extremely thankful. Well, first, let me say this. When Dylan out there playing and all that, I appreciate the fans. I appreciate everybody, but it don't really. I'm a good person overall, so I don't really like him not feeling comfortable, confident, when he get out there. So, it puts everything in a tough spot, and it's not helping the team, So that could be taken as, okay, I'm being a distraction, even though I ain't doing nothing. I'm not doing nothing, but I'm thankful for the supporters, thankful for the fans, thankful for everybody out there, that believes. And, when I got out there, I definitely felt them. And, I'm truly thankful for it. And, yeah, I'm just thankful that I'm out here. I'm thankful for the opportunity, thankful for seeing all them 12 jerseys out there. And it was a great feeling for that. But the feeling of losing, that ain't nothing we're going to get comfortable with, like, on my watch, for sure.
Yeah, listen, I think that's the Shador that you heard at training camp a ton leading up to the season. Somebody who, values and thinks it's important that his, he's not this distraction. And that was always the thing that blew my mind, was like, for as much as people are talking about Shador off, out of the building and nationally and all this stuff, he just kind of shows up and works. And I get that sense that that's still the guy he is. I think he certainly has made the most of the reps that he's gotten. But I think, as we sort of talked about throughout this conversation, not having the reps with the necessary groups or the first team and all that, I think does weigh into this, and you don't want to see him lose confidence. I can tell, I in hearing sort of the beginning of that press conference and him talking about how he didn't play well and sort of owning that, and hearing what was said in the locker room about, like, guys kind of having to tell Shador, like, nah, man, like, it's okay, pick yourself up. It's not, it's not the end of the world. It's one game. It doesn't have to define you. Jerry Jeudy talked about how, guys make mistakes and on the interception play, and it's not a big deal. Like, you just keep moving forward and keep making plays. So, like, I think everyone's trying to sort of stand up and support him. But I also, I think something that is admirable about Shedeur Sanders is that he's not afraid to say, I stunk and I want to be better. Like, especially from an organization that, like, barely says anything about anything. For somebody to be open and like, hey, I want to be better. I mean, he did that after his preseason debut, right? He played really well in that Panthers game. But then he walks to the sideline. He's talking to, I think it was like Aditi, and he's like, yeah, I didn't think I played that well. I needed to be better. Like, I think that's the kind of mentality and attitude that you want from your players, your star quarterback, if that's what he becomes, and frankly, your team. So I don't know that confidence just dissipates after one game like this, but you certainly hope that they can continue to build that confidence by giving him the reps necessary to make sure that he can have success out there.
I want to jump in real quick, Brendan, because I think we got to just recognize how tough this situation is for him, because like he said, when Dylan's out there and everyone's chanting Shador or booing Dylan because they know he's behind him, that's not fair to Dylan. It's not fair to Shador. He even said it. I'm not doing anything. Like, it's not like he's over there like hyping people up, like put me in. That's not what he's doing. So that's a really hard situation to for him to be in. And I will say this, like, we all wanted tonight to go we wanted tonight to go differently. He did, fans did, everybody did. It didn't go that way. But I do think that there's one thing that he does is, well, there's two, I would say. The confidence that you guys could feel in the stadium, or the pop, if you will, was palpable. You could feel it. I could feel it through the TV screen, right? So there's that. There's also an ability to just be fearless, and he's got that. Where Dylan, you watch Dylan play, and he plays fearful, right? He plays to not make the mistake. Where Shedeur is playing more so like, hey, I'm going to stand in the pocket and try to throw it down the field. I'm going to try to wait for that thing to come open, or I'm staring down the barrel of a gun. I trust Jerry Jeudy, who's on the outcut, to go out. And Jerry's like, no, I was doing whatever it was, and it turns into an interception. The right way is somewhere in the middle of those, but you do appreciate that he went in there not scared, going out there trying to make stuff happen. It didn't work out, but I thought from just a pure football perspective, there's a lot you saw tonight that's like easily correctable. It's really hard to teach somebody this stuff in the preseason when, he's trying to go out there and make big plays happen. But now, hey, I played against one of the better teams or in the AFC, and I was trying to, extend plays by backing out and waving the ball around like this, and I fumbled it twice. That can't happen ever again. So now I can learn based off of that stuff. So I do think that there were some encouraging things you saw from Shedeur tonight, even though he goes 4 for 16 and only has 20 yards passing, like that part, or 47 yards passing. I did see some decent things that he can try to build on and work through, I suppose.
And listen, like, we definitely needed to talk a lot about Shedeur because he was a huge storyline in this game. But I think from a broader perspective, again, trading Joe Flacco handcuffed this team in a way that on a day like today where they're in a tight game that is very winnable, right? They had a 16-10 lead at the end of the third quarter, and they lost. They didn't score an offensive touchdown because you have two rookie quarterbacks who are maybe on different trajectories. Like, okay, fair to acknowledge Shedeur didn't play well and he hasn't had a lot of reps with the ones. Fine, whatever. Like, that's reality. Dylan Gabriel hasn't been very good this year, and he's getting a lot of reps with the ones because he's the one playing right now. Dylan is making some progress, but the offense isn't very good in general. I think I've seen enough from Dylan to believe that the Browns are not going to win games because of him.
Yeah.
But can they win games with him? Still to be determined. There are too many other questions on this offense that haven't been answered, and certainly the ones that have been aren't good. I just having two rookie quarterbacks active and nobody that can go take the field and be like, hey, listen, I've played 5 years in the NFL. Like, I can go step into a meaningful divisional game. Like, listen, man, I know that they're a 2-win team. They're not going to the playoffs. But if you care about winning, if the goal is to win, not having a veteran quarterback on your active game day roster, I think, is a problem. And that manifested itself today when your starter got hurt and your backup has no game experience and no real legitimate practice experience with your first team guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a weird carousel with this quarterback room just in general this year. And the Joe Flacco thing, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, the debate at this point has become exhausting because I get it. Like, he didn't have the receivers that he has in Cincinnati, obviously. Sure. But you wonder, like, why couldn't they get more out of him here in Cleveland? And I think that's a lot of the questions I think people should have about the offense in general. Is like, I look around this league and I see other teams that don't have great quarterback situations or great offensive lines or whatever. I still see them scoring more points than the Browns do on a consistent basis. And so that's where all these things kind of intersect, is like, how bad is bad enough with all these different groups and positions and all these things that you can't really grade a guy and you're putting it on the quarterback or whatever. How bad is bad enough that like the coach can't scheme his way out of it? Like those are all kind of come to mind. But I don't know. Like it's the rest of the season is basically about figuring out what you have at that position with both these guys, figuring out, if Shedor's going to play next week because Dylan's in the concussion protocol, like, does he get the rest of the season? Do they go back and forth between the two? Like, I don't know what it's all going to look like. But yeah, I mean, that's basically what the season becomes about, because you got 7 games to go. You're 2-8. We know where the season is obviously headed. And if this regime is still going to be here at the end of the season, they have to address that position in some capacity and figure out what they have. And so that's why we've said all along that both these guys have to play at some point. So,
and Spencer, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Kevin acknowledged at the podium that if Dylan clears protocol, that he will start next week, not Shador.
I believe, I don't remember the exact wording of it, but I do believe that was what he.
Yeah, I mean, he basically made it clear like that this was not going to turn into a situation where Shador could take his job. Like, this is Dylan's team is essentially what he said. Go ahead, Megs. I didn't want to.
I mean, that part of it is the curious part. German and I talked about it on our pregame show. We knew on draft night we were going to get to this point, like, when we're here now. And they took 2 rookies. It was going to be awkward. It was awkward then. It was awkward in the summertime. It was awkward in camp. It was awkward at the start of the year. And now it's awkward now. We were hoping you were hoping that you'd get to a more natural trading off point where, hey, Dylan had 6 games or 7 games, and now Shador, you're going to get equal or maybe a little bit less time to just be evaluated, because you could have at least a clean break. But now you got this weird spot where they've been forced, their hands been forced, and now Shador has to prepare like he's going to be the starter until Dylan gets out of protocol and all that stuff. It's going to get even 10 times more awkward than we thought it was going to be, but hey, it's Browns football, I suppose.
Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that we should?
Probably the fact that Myles Garrett is just a ridiculous.
A superhuman?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
4 sacks.
Yeah. It's just it's so frustrating that should be like a lead storyline. He had 4 sacks. We are getting to the point where his weekly performances and his career numbers, you can start having the conversation that, like, this guy might be the greatest pass rusher ever. Like, he really might be. And he's playing on a team that doesn't win, and it stinks.
Yeah, I know, Megs, you and I have talked about this a ton, like the idea that fans, I think, get a little upset when Myles goes to the podium and voices frustration because they're like, well, you signed up for this, so you don't really have a right to talk. But I continue to say, like, I appreciate the fact that somebody in this building is candid and voices those frustrations, because a lot of people in that organization don't. Kevin goes to the podium and says the same thing every week. Like, that doesn't sound like a guy who's very frustrated at all. Not saying he's not internally, but like externally, you don't see that. So for Myles to do that, I think is great. That's been the thing that's, like, for me, just as like a bystander who covers this team and, is as unbiased as I can be about it. Like, I enjoy covering the sport. I enjoy sports in general. We watch sports because we want to see great things, great players, great moments. And what's been so frustrating about this year is, like, you sit there and you're just in awe of this guy. Like you said, Brendan, like there's an argument to be made that he's the best pass rusher of all time already. He'd probably still say it's Lawrence Taylor, especially because of the winning part of it.
Listen, I'm not saying it's like signed, sealed, and delivered, but like, he is in that conversation with where this is going. Sure. I see a comment in here saying that's hyperbole. No, it isn't.
No, it's not. Hey,
it's not. By the way, he passed Lawrence Taylor today for the most consecutive seasons with at least 12 sacks, and he became the first player ever to do, what was it? I think
6 straight seasons with
12 or more sacks. Like,
crazy.
First player to do that. Like,
ever.
He is a phenomenal talent, and like I said, it's just remarkable. He topped his own record, by the way, for sacks through 10 games. With the number he had today, he's very much in the mix and on pace for the single season sack record this year. He's probably gonna he's easily gonna blow past, I think, his single season record, which is 16. Like, it's not hyperbole to say that he could go down as the best pass rusher of all time. Mark Andrews, that late this week, leading up to this matchup, made a comment about how he's maybe the best athlete ever in football. Like, he's incredible. And so, to go back to my main point, like, it's been so unfortunate to watch this team every week, cover this team every week, and see that guy go to work and the amazing things he does, and then you're just like, man, they like it stinks that this guy can't get more wins, because he is so fun to watch, and he's just being wasted on a bad Browns team. It's unfortunate.
Guys, this is bad. I'm going to say it anyway. I was so thankful he didn't get a 5th sack, because I was thinking back to, because we were all watching this. We all knew this was a death march. We knew it was coming. We knew the Browns were going to lose. And I kept thinking back to the Patriots game, where it was like, he's the only player to ever have 5 sacks and lose a game and lose it by 3 touchdowns. And then we were about to do it again. Like, I was like, he's going to get a 5th sack, and they're going to lose, and it's going to be, well, the Browns, every other player who's had 5 sacks, they're at 1,101-0, and now there's 2 losses. Like, and both losses are the Cleveland Browns. He's unbelievable, man. And, him staying bought in, I think, is really cool. Jerm, we talk about every week. Special shout out to Grant Delpit. He's like my favorite guy. Has the fumble recovery on the punt that the Browns can't cash in. And, man, guys, it's okay. This is the last thing I'll say, and I'll get off my high horse. But, like, that is the punt situation was the perfect one to me, because they recover the punt. It's on the 6-yard line. They run it on first down. The second down run was perfect. It was set up perfectly for a score. But KT Levinson just checks in because Cam Robinson gets hurt on the last one. KT Levinson is like a 6th-string backup at this point, and he comes in, gets cut off, misses his block. Quinshon Judkins could have cartwheeled into the end zone for a touchdown, and it would have been perfect. But it was literally like, all right, if it isn't one thing, it's another. And for this Browns, it's hard enough to play offense in the NFL, and the Browns just can't get out of their way on the offensive side of the football, and it's just constantly something goes wrong that prevents the Browns from doing stuff. I don't know. That just popped back into my head. I marked it down to talk about it, but it was just one of those things, man. Everywhere you look, they were just making a critical error.
Yeah, I don't know what it takes to get it right, because all of a sudden everybody starts looking around, and we're not privy to closed door meetings and things. I don't know if guys are pointing fingers at each other or not, but the human nature of, I think I'm doing my job, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I need everybody else to do it. Like, that's why football is the greatest team game, and that's why the huddle is such a sacred place. It's 11 guys whose backgrounds outside of football could be 11 completely unique, totally different scenarios. And you guys are one unit, one team, and you got to figure it out. It's why people love football, because teamwork matters in football probably more than any other sport. And it's just frustrating when even if you're seeing a guy giving his best and it's just not good enough. The problem for the Browns right now is, I assume that everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing off the field. They're putting in the right hours for practice. They're doing the right tape. They're like, you expect, I think these guys are handling themselves professionally, which makes that result just unstomachable. It's not good enough, and you need massive changes.
I'll just say this too. Along the lines of Myles, it's also been unfortunate to watch what Carson Schwarzenegger's doing this year and see that go.
Yeah, dude, he's not playing like
at least we have him.
The difference is Carson's like, he's young. There's more of this. Like, for Myles, it's like, they're like, time is of the essence for him if he's going to win, because he's going to be 30 next year. But I'll tell you this, like, I think this, you want to hear hyperbole? Here's some hyperbole for you. I think Carson pretty much sealed the deal on being defensive rookie of the year today. Like, he got a 2nd interception, another 10-sack performance, 2 tackles for a loss. He was chasing down Lamar Jackson on some play. Like, dude's incredible.
10 tackles, listen, not 10 sacks. 10 sacks.
Sorry, 10 tackles. 10 tackles. I'm sorry. We would have skipped past Myles to talk about that. 10
the only player to ever have 10 sacks in the game and lose.
10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss is what I meant to say in the interception. I'll even take it a step further. He's playing so well that not only is he sealed the deal on defensive rookie of the year, the only competition he might have for defensive player of the year is his own teammate, Myles Garrett, if I'm being honest.
No, the Schlesinger thing is unbelievable, man. He's every bit the part. I remember them drafting him. He was pick 33, and I'm like, who's this Schwescher what cat? And I'm like, we gotta. My initial thought was I have to learn how to spell that really well because I'm gonna be typing it a lot. Like I can't mess this up. And it turned out he's like the best player, the best player in the draft. Man, he was super fun to watch. He's been fun to watch. And mind you, he's still supposed to be hurt. He's still supposed to have a high ankle sprain that was supposed to keep him out for 4 to 6 weeks. And he played. He hasn't missed one game, which is incredible.
I feel like UCLA could have used him last night.
Well, yeah, they'd have lost by 28 instead of 38 instead of
38. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, that draft pick was so important for Cleveland because, you sort of drafted Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to be the Lamar Jackson stopper.
Sure.
And to lose him potentially for his career, is devastating. And to, thankfully, and it's so many swings and misses the Browns have had in the draft to draft the guy to replace JOK and get it that right is incredible.
Yeah.
You really hope Carson, you wish him good health and that he's got a long runway because, man, is he fun to watch.
I got one more thing. I've been waiting for 4 years for the Eagles to have an audible off of the tush push. I've been waiting for it.
Did they do it?
No, the freaking Ravens did, and they ran it perfectly. They timed it perfectly, I had to watch Mark Andrews, his first rushing touchdown of his entire career, run off the edge. I'm like, yeah, thankfully. Thank you. I've been waiting for that damn play for 4 years now, and thank you for doing it to the Browns. Really appreciate that.
I honestly, I thought maybe you had the Eagles-Lions game on in front of you or something, and you saw them like steal. I thought maybe they watched the Ravens do that, and then they did that in real time as that game was playing out or something.
No. Mark Andrews did it and ran it right through my eyeballs, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me! It's perfect. It was perfectly done, perfectly called, and good. It was good. But I wanted to throw that one in there too.
Yeah, no, that was kind of the icing on the cake, really. So, look, a day the Browns led for more than half the game, did not score an offensive touchdown, and ultimately did not have enough offensive success at all. 3 field goals and the pick six. But a 23-16 loss in a game that will certainly be one of those you look back at in the offseason and went, man, we should have had that one. And whether or not that's a good thing that the Browns lost, if you're into the whole play for your draft pick thing, that's not a game.
Fernando, West Sider, get you a place at Crocker Park. Hopefully he likes the snow.
All I know is this team needs a lot of help, and whether they pick.
I got a text tonight
they're going to find somebody they need.
I got a text that said Fernando, trade up for Carnell, and then seven offensive linemen. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll play.
That'll work. All right, lots more coverage coming over on Browns Roundtable. Hey, we've got a ton of people that are watching on X tonight, and really appreciate that. The link that's scrolling across on the ticker on the bottom, brownsroundtable.com. Roundtable launched its sports network literally just a couple months ago. This is a fairly new endeavor. We don't believe in a subscription model. We will never charge a dime for anything. It is entirely free. We have, a capital J journalism, syndicated, published content covering the team, and we love to do that. We also do a lot of video stuff. We've got a great community that we're building over there. We would really appreciate it if you jump over on the site, and in the top right-hand corner underneath the main picture, there's a little button that says join. Just pop in your email account and join the site. Again, no subscription, no credit cards or charges of any kind. We'd love to have you as part of the community and talk Browns football all the time with you. All right, let's start that later tonight, and roll into this week as we get ready for what I guess would be a week 11 game, week 12, game 11, week 12 for the Browns when they go play out in Vegas. Can't believe it's already the middle of November. Megs, were you going to say something or no?
Nope, I was signing out. I accidentally hit it. I was signing us off. Go right ahead. Get us out of here, BG.
All right, sounds good. 23-16 the final. See you guys soon.